over when television was invented, 'cause this is of some concern to people. Like it seems to have gotten earlier and earlier in time. Uh, these changes that are going on, and I remember it coming about. Of course, there was the 50s, and before that, during World War II, it was in heavy development, and in the 30s is when it came in to being, but it wasn't widespread at all. Like not even like to own it, things were barely happening, barely. And it was in the 40s that just with the war and everything, and the inventions and developments, it's really sort of ramped it up. And then in the late 40s, they got the process together, and the 50s is when it hit the ground running, really. And people just hopped right on board television. Before that, it was just a rare thing. But I don't remember. I didn't. It wasn't something we studied in school. It was just something I read about in books, haphazardly. So I can't guarantee, anything that I remember that way. But so I was looking back in the newspapers to see. This is from 1918, and what is necessary to make seeing over the telephone practicable? And they get into how it's possible, and they're already calling it television, but they haven't worked out any of the details. And it's based on the eye. So let me see. It's a marvelously efficient camera. They show how it would be, what it would look like, and so that's one example. 1918. This one's not a great copy. I think they. So and then they're doing predictions about what it will be like in the future, and they're also making these predictions in this one article. Especially it's the same thing that H.G. Wells has gotten into, which is people living underground or semi-underground cities, and they're talking about tunnels, which is the next step they're talking about nowadays. People traveling in tunnels instead of for high-speed travel, and they talk about drawing rooms, which is what cars are. They're like your little home, and the roads will be smooth as a billiard ball or billiard table, I assume they mean. And let's see, humanity will, having continued to develop the coddling process of civilization, which is interesting. Wearing clothes, warm houses, protection from the elements. They will tend to live underground. There will be underground streets through which all traffic will proceed. Roads will be absolutely smooth and not rough-hewn and bumpy as they are today. When a man goes out for business, he will not proceed as he does now by tramway or car or train. He will pass along delightful avenues underneath the surface of the earth. Motor cars and vehicles will be powered by a wireless motor, not petrol. Luxuriously appointed drawing rooms will be driven by wireless at a rate of 100 miles an hour. Wireless telephones will be installed as well as every kind of appointment, so that we have cell phones. People will live in a condition of splendid physical isolation, which is I'm blanking on the author right now, but E.M. Forster, when the machine stops, was his book. He did The Remains of the Day. He wrote books like this that all these movies were based on, But he wrote one science fiction novel about when the machine stops, about how everyone lives completely separately underground from each other, and they do what we do now. Like if they're watching something, they rate it, they give it a rating, they tell how much they like it and what's going on, and things are just brought to them, like they're planning to do with drones. With Amazon, it's the same thing. They've planned this for a long time, and this is an early story laying this out. And so this isn't necessarily Mandela Effect, but they're talking about it. Television, that is the ability to see your absent friend over a distance of many miles by wireless telephony, which will enable you to talk to him or her in comfort and lead to this condition. There will be less desire in those days for close physical communion. That desire is a relic of barbarism. This vision is not an extravagant or wild set of theories. It is the direction in which scientific discoveries are no less wild to us than our present social conditions would have appeared to our forebears generations ago. So I found that really interesting. Um, Movies That Talk, his latest discoveries. This is June 1920. H. Gundel Matthews, wireless telephone expert, announced a successful experiment in photographing sound waves and electrically reproducing them, which makes speaking movies feasible. Television. Why the brain and not the eyes to see the vision. So, I talk about television here. And to make television a perfected idea, it would seem that we should have an apparatus almost as small as this nearly as sensitive with regard to the subdivision of light image. And they're talking about the eye. This is 1920 as well. Edward Berlin, inventor of the process of sending photographs over wire to any distance, delivered an address on his scientific work at a reception given in his honor. Okay. And this other one, I couldn't find the first page of it. It's missing, but the Lost Atlantis. It's some scientist giving his, or someone predicting what, or saying what the Atlanteans had and what we're gonna have. The two primal forces. This is very much duality and free energy type of the theosophical kind of, male and female energies, vril, all that stuff. This is what they're moving us toward right now. But this is something they're predicting back then. Conveyance of long distance images, the distances by the that telephone attachment. It goes over a lot of stuff in here. It's kind of a lot to go over. This is an interesting one. Combined use of the wireless telephone and apparatus for television will put human beings in intimate oral and visual contact through thousands of miles and separate them. Also, somewhere in here it says that, privacy will be gone. I can't remember which article that was. Inventions will be accomplished in a few years. Prediction. Yeah. No secrecy in years to come. I think that's the news right there. Television, newest thing. No secrecy in years to come. Entire world an open book. Science promise may gaze upon what is happening now. In a year or two. But they went through a long phase of propagandizing us first, didn't they? So that was interesting. Radio controlled television plane. Don't quite get what that is. I guess you just a drone, really. That's interesting. Oh, and here's after the war. This is January 1st, 1945. Learn radio electronics television at home. Be sure in post-war. It's an outstanding post-war opportunity we have experienced.